when I was on my journey of trying to conceive for a long period of time, I got to the point where I knew that things should have worked. On paper, things should have worked, but they didn't. And that left me in a place of wondering, what more is there? What more is out there that I haven't thought of, that I haven't connected to? And that's what led me down a really long spiritual path of connecting to my spirit baby, going inwards, creating all these beautiful rituals around the moon cycle, and really getting in tune with my body on a deeper level and the level of my future baby as well. On today's episode, we are going to have an amazing chat with intuitive and spirit baby communicator Nancy Weiss. And she is going to help you create your own rituals and your own ceremonies to help you through your own fertility journey. Hello, welcome back to the podcast. This is the best episode I think I've ever recorded. I had so much fun chatting with Nancy today about this topic. And when I was originally putting this episode together, I originally intended for it to be a solo episode. And I reached out to Nancy because I just wanted her ideas or her feedback around kind of the rituals that she went through on her own fertility journey and the ones that she goes through with her own clients. And as we were chatting, I said, Nancy, you just have to come and do the episode with me. This is just not going to be the same unless you do so. So she is here to talk to us today about all of the things in terms of rituals, doing these beautiful practices to help you on your own fertility journey. We're going to get into moon cycles, using crystals, using altars, how you can get your partner involved, the importance of feminine energy and women's circles. This is the most woo episode I have ever done, and it is brilliant. Now, if you're not familiar with Nancy, as I said, she is a spirit baby communicator and intuitive medium. She has her own business where she helps women from all around the world, and lots of my students as well, to connect with their baby on their own soul path and help them come into that feeling of knowing that their baby is on the way. And I think the work that she does is so incredibly powerful. And it was something that I did, not with Nancy, actually, with a different medium when I was struggling. After I had my pregnancy loss, I reached out to a spirit baby medium and I said, I just want to know where my baby is, what they're doing, and what do I need to do to bring them here. And that session changed a lot of things for me. It changed the course of my fertility journey. So she knows a lot, Nancy does. And I think that everything that you're going to hear today is going to really sit with you on a really lovely personal level, because we get to that point on our journeys where we think the medical world has the answers and your doctor has the answers, but then we realize that isn't always true. And sometimes the answers that you need are within you. So I hope that this episode helps you connect to them. Now, just before we get into it, a couple of things. I just want to remind you, if you are more of a visual person and you would like to watch this episode on YouTube, I'll add a link in the show notes here if you are listening on iTunes or Spotify, but you can come over to my YouTube channel and watch the whole episode as well, which is really fun with an interview, I find as well. I have a free new moon manifestation ritual guide available for you. So after listening to this episode, if this is something that you want to dip your toe into, you think I'd like to start incorporating some of these fun rituals on my own fertility journey, I have that guide available for you. And it's something you can do on the new moon. It's something that I did every single month. And I kept all of my intentions that I wrote for the month that I conceived my son, and I still have it in a box. And when I read those things back and I see what I was able to bring into my life, it gives me chills, even reading it back many years later. So it's an incredibly powerful practice. So if you would like access to that free guide, follow the link in the show notes and pop your email in and I'll get that over to you straight away. So let's get into this awesome episode. Here's Nancy. Nancy, I'm so thrilled for this conversation. I just feel like I had to press record because we got on this call and we started chatting and it's been 10 minutes. I was like, no, we've got to hit record. We have to actually do the episode. So welcome. It's great to have you here. Can we start, just if people don't know you, I'm sure that they do because they've listened to my podcast before, but can you tell me a bit about you and your journey and the work that you do?
Sure. Well, my name is Nancy Weiss, and thank you so much for having me on the podcast again. It was so much fun last time, and so I'm so happy that we're doing it again. I'm a spirit baby, psychic medium, and energy healer. And what I do is I work to connect these beautiful spirit babies, those souls, before they come earthside with their mamas who want them so much. I've been doing this work professionally for the last nine, I think it's going to be 10 years soon. But I really have always been connected since I'm a child in actually doing this type of work or having this type of ability. And it just kind of flourished and fostered as I was going through my own fertility journey. Oh wow, now 9 years ago, because my daughter is 7. So 9 years ago is when I really started, using this in a professional sense and doing it on myself, and then realizing, oh my God, I need to share this with the world. I need to share this with women that are going through these challenges, especially fertility challenges, because we have a lot that we have to go through, right? If you're going through fertility treatments, if you're having losses, there's a lot going on there. It's not just like, hey, yeah, we tried for 3 months and now we're pregnant. We had a little bit of a different journey, and that requires a little bit more gentleness, a little bit more kind of like different things that we can kind of little spirituality, different things that we can hold on to, mindset, so that we're able to continue on the journey to have our child, because we have a special task, right? To be the mamas that we are in this way, in this path, in this journey that we'll call it. So it's so
Mm.
important for me to share spirit babies and this spiritual fertility with women, because I think every woman should know about it.
Amazing. And what I really want to hone in on today is this idea of incorporating these ancient and sacred and spiritual rituals within our fertility journey. And I don't know if you find this, Nancy, but the students that I get, 99% of them, they haven't just started on their journey. They have been on it for a while, and they've usually gone down the path of treatments and testing, and whatever the reason or lack of reason there might be for them not getting pregnant, I find that people come to me because they feel like there is something missing that they can't put their finger on. It's not about another blood test or another treatment or a medication. They feel like this path to becoming a parent is deeper within them, this spiritual calling. And whether you are religious or not religious, I think that everyone has this ability to connect with whatever you want to call it, the universe, your higher self, a higher power, God. And this is where some of these practices really allow that, which I think is so important, because I don't think I really considered spirituality before I started trying to conceive. And it wasn't until my second journey where things got even more difficult. I thought there's more at play here than I am giving the world credit for. So did you find that you were always very spiritual, but how did you find your spirituality helped you when you were struggling to conceive?
So I think, I started out as a fertility coach. Well, I was going through all the things I was going through, and it's kind of interesting how it all worked out. I was going through health coaching school, and then I was like, okay, I want to be a fertility coach. This is perfect because I'm going through this path myself, right? Starting fertility treatments, looking into it. And so that's how I started out. I started with like, take your supplements and eat your broccoli and get rid of all the plastics in your life, and get clean foods, and don't dye your hair. And I was doing all of those things, which was very, I would say, logical, right? I was logical and practical of like, okay, you want to have healthy eggs, therefore you must do all the things to give you healthy eggs, right? And in that, I started doing my own thing. Like, I was an energy healer, I was a Reiki master. And so I knew, like, let me work on my sacral chakra. Let me work on these other things. And then that's where the two started coming together. I said, you know what, Nancy, I have to tell women about this. And I went from fertility coach talking about, just kind of like mindset and things like that, to then, you know what, there's so much more to this. There's so much more on the spiritual level of connecting with yourself on an energetic level, emotional level, spiritual, godly, whatever you'd like to call it, and realizing that it was the thing that kept me going. It was the thing that gave me the confidence. It gave me this, I call it unwavering faith. When I started to look deeper into that, it wasn't just about taking, CoQ10. It was about connecting with myself. It was then connecting with my spirit baby. And once you get to this, like this other level, right? And you connect with your spirit baby for the first time, or you just kind of know that there's a girl there. It changes everything. And it changed it for me because I was able to keep going through my cycles. You know how hard it is to go through multiple egg retrievals, multiple transfers, failures, miscarriage, right? All these things. It was the thing that kept me going. Where, maybe it is different for somebody else. Maybe it's just God or Buddha or whoever but for me, it was this combination of things, the mindset, the manifestation, the spirit babies, and really getting deep into that practice of connecting with myself and my intuition that kept me going. And that's where I think that spirituality and the fertility come together just to create this I don't know, this foundation, this building block for strength and resilience on a path that may not always be so easy.
Absolutely. And you do need something, don't you? Especially when things have been difficult, you need something that reminds you that this is possible. And when you have no evidence that you don't think, in the environment around you, you've really got to look within to start showing yourself and listening to those signs. Oh, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. I feel like these practices have been around for centuries. Women have always come into rituals and they've worked with the moon and they've got all of these beautiful things that were passed down between generations of women. And I feel like we lost it all. Somewhere along the way, we lost it all. Did you agree?
Yes, but I do also want to say that things are coming back so much more. Like spirituality is and manifestation. Now you'll hear it like on a TV show. They'll be like, "Oh, I manifested that." Where you would have never heard that 20 years ago, right? Or people like saging themselves. And sage is it's very sacred, right? But you wouldn't if somebody was doing that 20 years ago, you'd be like, "That person's crazy." But now it's such a normal thing. You have like stores like not the Gap, but some other stores that are like they have sage, and it's like this is a thing. You're like, no, I'm cleansing my space, like I'm cleansing myself. So it's crystals. Crystals used to be so woo-woo, right? But now people are wearing them and using them, and so it's becoming essential oils. Sound baths are becoming so much more popular. So I think that that's helpful with that. I forgot your question,
No,
but
that was the question.
but yeah, all those things are connected and making things easier
Yeah, yeah.
and more mainstream.
Yeah.
Mainstream.
Which makes them more accessible as well. And you
Totally.
see that now we're talking about this and this will go out to people all around the world. So I love
Right.
it. I love it. So let's talk about some of the more specific woo-woo rituals that we can do when we're trying to
Mhm.
conceive. Let's start with the moon. So
Yeah,
the
sure.
moon is, you'll explain this a lot better than I will, but it is a very powerful source of feminine energy. Am I right?
It definitely is.
And I think that in many cultures, many moons ago, pun intended,
Mhm.
that women would use the moon to help them sync their menstrual cycle. We would
Mhm.
ovulate with the full moon and bleed with the new moon. And that was pretty much our only source of light at nighttime for many, many, many years, right? Now, that's obviously not the case.
Right.
So obviously we don't have that connection to the moon anymore. But can you talk a little bit about why do we have as women such a connection to the moon and how can we start to work with that moon cycle to help our
Mhm.
fertility?
Yeah, so the moon, obviously, it's been here since the beginning of time, right? It's so powerful, that gravitational pull, with the tides. So we have it, how it moves the tides. Human body is about 50 to 70% water. Sometimes you'll hear our body's 98% water, but that's not the truth. It's about 50 to 70% water. So for me, my belief, it still has that attraction. It still has that pull on my body. So for me, I've always been very connected with the moon from a young child. I think I started around 11 where I just was like, ooh, the moon. And I just had this kind of feeling about her. So it was always something very feminine to me, very soft, very feminine. We know that the lunar cycle is 28 to 29 and a half days, and that a woman's cycle, everyone is different, but it's also generally the same of the 28 to the 29 and a half days in that type of cycle. So you have that very similar connection. And then you have the uterine lining of how it kind of, it grows, it grows, it grows, and then it comes back down. And we have that same with the moon, where the light is growing, growing, growing to the full moon, and then it's waning down to the new moon. So I mean, that to me is an undeniable correlation between the two and how they are connected with each other. And so we're able to do things like we can still sync with the moon if we want to, or help regulate our cycle in working with light and darkness and things like that. Moon basking, I'd like to call that, of getting back to that. So even though we do have all of this artificial light that definitely changes things, there's still ways that we can connect more fully with the moon by doing some really simple things.
Go and tell me what they are. Let's do it.
Okay. So for women, if I have my clients and they may have like an irregular cycle, they're like, Nancy, my cycle's all over the place. We can simply start to kind of sync up with the moon and work with the moon cycle. So one of the things is using blue blocker glasses to help keep away the artificial, do as much with the artificial light. Start actually syncing with the moon. So when you have that new moon and the moon is dark, you remain dark. And then as it grows, you open up your blinds, right? And you have that moon shining on you as the full moon. And trying to do that, or just going outside on that full moon, looking at that full moon and trying to do that every day. And within a couple of weeks or a month, you can start to actually see that you get in sync with the moon. And I'm not saying that it will happen all the time, but I did it for myself. So I saw that with myself, where I would actually intentionally close all my blinds, be in the complete dark, and then actually start to have more of that moonlight. Some women are going to have it's called a white moon cycle, which is bleeding on the new moon. And some women have a red moon cycle, which is the full moon. Some women are in between too, on the waxing and waning cycles. It's not a big deal. You don't have to sync up. But here's the thing. And here's the thing with all of these rituals and all of these things that we're talking about. It's making you mindful. It's making you mindful of your body. It's making you mindful of your emotions, of your physical body, of how you feel, and paying attention to all these things. So I don't, for the woman out there who's maybe type A and is like, you know what, I'm not really into this like woo-woo stuff, or I'm not really into crystals or these type of things. It's not like we're putting everything into just like the magic of the moon. It's in ourselves. It's getting in tune with our feminine body, with our cycle, with being mindful of how we used to be, right? And getting back to that, because everything is social media, scrolling, news, Facebook, Instagram. There's so many things that cloud our natural intuition, our natural cycle. So this is just a way to get back to ourselves.
And kind of connect with something bigger than ourselves, right? I think that when you look at the power of the moon, like we wouldn't exist without the moon. And to be able to see what an impact it has on the female body, I think that's one of the most obvious connections that we can have with a higher power. It's incredibly powerful.
To pay attention to see like, how when there's a full moon, people are like, oh, people are going to go crazy today. But once you start to actually pay attention to your moods and you look at the moon and you see the planets and how it actually changes you, how you're like, you know what, leading up to this full moon, I'm feeling really energetic today. I'm feeling amazing right now. Or, the new moon is coming and then kind of don't want to be around people. Like you need some quiet time. It's directly connected, right?
Mm.
And when we're able to look at that, I think it also helps us like understand ourselves more too. Be like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like, sometimes you're like, I don't know why I'm upset, or I don't know why I feel like sad or, introverted, or why am I like totally like, buzzing today. And when you start to pay attention, you're like, oh my goodness, look, it's a full moon. It's a full moon in my sign. And it's just, oh, it's magical. I'm not gonna lie. It's
It is magical.
magical.
You touched on something before about the reverse sync up of the moon. So
Mhm.
some women ovulate with the new moon and bleed on
Yeah.
the full moon. And that was
Mhm.
me. My two living children that I have, when I fell pregnant with them, I was ovulating on the new moon. And I think when you look up moon cycling and moon syncing on the internet, it sort of like tells you that not that that's wrong, but that isn't what you should be aiming for. But can you talk a little bit about why that might be the case, or it doesn't matter?
It does not matter. And so that's one thing that women have come to me or have said like, "Oh, mine is reversed. Mine's not right. I'm not bleeding with it." And I want to tell and set the record straight that it does not matter. It does not matter whether it's the new moon or the full moon. This is your body. And so mine would change through the seasons. So say in the wintertime where I would all of a sudden be, have my period on the full moon. And that was most likely for me. It was where I had my period on the full moon. Um, then the next couple of months I'd be a week late on my period, and then all of a sudden here I am, and now I'm having my period on the new moon. And so our bodies change, the planets change, the moon changes, all of these things change. You're going to be different from summer than you are in winter. And it is not a thing to worry about that. So don't think you're doing anything wrong or there's anything wrong with your body if you're not in sync with the moon. And if you're not in sync with all at all, you're still good. I need to let ladies know that.
Thank
This is
you.
again something if you want to work towards it, if it's something that makes you resonate with, then you can try it, and see how it works for you.
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that. Thank you.
Yes, yes, totally.
Did you ever, or do you ever still these days, set up an altar? And can you talk about what is an altar and how can we
Yes.
use it?
Well, I have an altar. It's right behind me, and I sit at it every day, every morning. So one of the things that was so important on my fertility journey was to set the time aside to be quiet. I call it meditation. And meditation sounds kind of scary to women because they're like, I can't sit there. I can't. It's just quiet time. It was quiet time for me. And so on my altar, I have crystals, I have feathers that I found on the beach, stones, shells that I have found. I have my oracle cards. I have pictures of my grandfather and grandmother. I have all kinds of stuff there. I have candles, and it's grown over the years and changes. But for me, it's what it really signifies is the time that you are setting aside to connect with yourself, with your spirit baby, with God, the universe, whatever you would like to call it. It's really a symbol of that intentional time to be quiet and to rest and to breathe and to listen. That's what it's about. So the altar, having any type of altar, it could be very extravagant. It could be as simple as a windowsill with a candle and a picture on it. It really doesn't need to be anything grand. It's what makes you feel good, but that you take the time to actually sit there, whether it's 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and to do whatever it is, whether it's pray or journal or write, and just take the time to connect with yourself.
And are the things that you place on an altar meant to represent something in particular, or is it totally personal?
It's really, really personal. It could be anything. Like you could find a feather on the beach, right? And maybe that's something significant that you get from spirit. Maybe your grandmother sends you feathers, or maybe your spirit baby's symbol is a feather. And so you have that feather there to remind you. You find that little pebble or stone that was in the shape of a heart. Whatever it is, it really is. So it's significant to the person of what they want to have there. I have pretty candles that mean things to me. It's just to bring you joy. That's the thing too. It's like you're in that space, you feel calm, you feel centered. I have pieces of tree from the sequoias forest in California. Those things are so special to me. And when, every morning I sit down at my altar, whether it's, after I drop the kids off from school or whatever it is, and I sit down and I take my time to read some passages out of a book, and to bring in my angels and guides. I mean, I have a pretty lengthy ritual that I do because of my spirituality, and what I do for work. So, putting essential oils on different parts of my body for what I need help with today, so yeah, it's going to be very specific, but it's really the time for myself, and it was before I had children too. Was to spend time in that quietness, to listen, because spirit babies and spirit and our intuition is a whisper, and we could really only hear that when we're being quiet, not when we're like scrolling or running around and doing things.
I always was amazed at the thing, and I still am at the things that come through when I'm really quiet. Just little snippets, and you just say, I never thought of that. And you get these little downloads, and it's too powerful to ignore. So you are really doing yourself a disservice if you don't allow this time every day.
Yes. And that's why a lot of women find out that they're like, I always get these good ideas when I'm in the shower. They're like, because you're finally like not, you don't have anything going on. You're just kind of there and you're letting that water run, right? And so it's one of those things that, we need that time and that space for that.
So good. Can we talk about crystals? And I think crystals are one of those things that people they love because they're so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you have 1,000 crystals in your house, Nancy, as
In
do
front
I.
of me.
Yeah. So how can we use crystals on our fertility journey, and what crystals help us?
Okay. So one of my favorite crystals, and I'm going to show it here, is this any kind of egg-shaped crystal, which is incredible for fertility because it's in the shape of an egg. The egg is a symbol of creation, of beginnings, of life. And so I've had this for forever, on my fertility journey. And this was one that would sit next to my bed. I'd have it next to me, or I would just hold it at my altar, and hold it in my hand and just have that vibration of beginnings, the vibration of embryo, the vibration of growth. That's what the egg is, right? It's this beautiful growth and transformation. So anything like that is going to be great. Red and orange crystals represent the sacral chakra. The sacral is where your uterus is. So having anything like that, orange crystals are beautiful. Trying to think. I'm looking in front of me. There's hundreds of crystals in front of me on my desk right now. I have a raised desk that has them all in front of me. But orange crystals, grounding crystals, grounding would be black or red. That's to help kind of bring you back to earth when you're feeling, out here. And that happens a lot with my clients that are on the fertility journey. When there's so much on their mind, when they can't think straight, when they're just like, I don't know what to do. Am I, are we going to do donor eggs? Am I going to do another retrieval? Should I wait 3 months? We really need to ground ourselves. And so crystals like that, black crystals, hematite and obsidian or anything like that could just help to kind of bring you back down again. Any crystals, again, it's also a personal thing. If something makes you feel good, if you see this crystal and you're like, hey, I love this labradorite, it makes me, this is an intuitive stone, but whatever this makes you feel, a rose quartz, to bring in that beautiful gracefulness. I love this. I use this for a lot for babies, is this rose quartz. The gentleness, the kindness. Again, these things, while they are beautiful and magical in their own right, it is again reminding you and yourself of what you intend to get from it, right? So if I'm holding this stone and I want to relax, I feel relaxation. You're reminding your body, you're reminding yourself, oh, I want to relax now, or this is the feeling I want to have. So it's a great way to kind of subliminally help tell your body and your mind what you want it to feel, what you want it to do. And I think that that's a big thing too, where people are like, I don't think crystal has has anything for me. I don't feel anything when I hold it. But subliminally, you're doing that orange, and orange is the sacral chakra. It kind of keeps, it all flows together there magically.
Yeah, I agree. There's something more about, like, yes, the crystals have their own properties, as you were saying, but it is more about bringing you deeper into connection with your own body and your own
Mhm.
journey and what you need. I
It
love
really is.
Yeah. And how do you recommend we have crystals with us day to day? Like, should we put them in our pocket, in our bag, keep them on the bedside table, hold them during meditation? What do you recommend?
You can do all of those things that you just mentioned. It really goes by how you want to feel. And I want to say there are some kind of rules with certain crystals. Like you don't necessarily want like quartz or amethyst next to your bedside because those can keep you awake at night. Yeah, totally. I used to put my crystals in, if I didn't want to wear a necklace, I would put them and pin them inside my bra, so I'd have them close up to me. Um, I have crystals in my pocket. Today I was carrying around, what would I have? A blue lace agate and a lepidolite for bringing down anxiety. So those are things that I would carry or rub.
Mm.
I kind of put them, I mean, they're all over my house. They're everywhere. I'm always wearing them. They're on my jewelry. Bracelets are great. I love these kind of bracelets where you can get a specific color, but it's really about what feels good. See, there really is no wrong way to do things, right? And I think and even though I did mention the amethyst and the quartz, but if you're sensitive like me, there's some things that I will specifically do. But it really comes down to what feels good. And that's kind of about this whole fertility journey. What feels good? If you want to dye your hair and it feels good, do it. If you want to do your nails and it feels good, do it. Take care of yourself. Do the things that feel good because you really can't do anything wrong.
Well, if you take one thing away from this conversation, let's hope it's that. I can't scream that enough.
Yeah, I can't do anything wrong.
Ah,
Honestly.
yeah.
Honestly. Yeah.
With your crystals, I love the idea of putting them out on the windowsill or outside during the full moon because it helps to recharge them. Can you talk a little bit about how that works? And that's something we should do regularly?
Yeah, so a full moon is about manifestation and releasing. And so taking your crystals and bringing them outside or putting them in the windowsill, it's kind of like it's like wiping everything clean again, which we want to do because crystals do hold energy, but putting them out there, having them recharge for the night, overnight, and then setting your intentions again with them if you'd like, of what you'd like to do with it. You can have a specific crystal, like say for a spirit baby, a special color that you want, and to connect with that. So using that full moon to kind of recharge them, and then holding it, and then setting your intention of like every time I hold this crystal, I get closer to my spirit baby. Every time I hold this crystal, I use my intuitive skills to connect with my baby and my body. So you can do that, and actually use it to your benefit.
Mm. Oh, this is so much fun.
Mhm.
I'm loving this conversation, Nancy. The next thing I wanted to ask you about was, this is such a broad topic that we hear in a sort of a flippant way, but connecting to your more feminine energy. And I think we find this hard because our life is structured in a very masculine way. It's like 1,000 things on our to-do list. We've got access to emails at 9 o'clock at night. Like, it is very go, 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 push, push, push. And just coming into that feminine energy of being able to step back and receive, I think is very, very hard for a lot of women, and myself included. One thing that helped me when I was struggling with fertility was this idea of coming to a women's circle, and not necessarily a bunch of women who were struggling to conceive, but just being in a room with a bunch of women and doing woo stuff like, let's do a cacao ceremony or have a sound bath. But it was like no men allowed. No shade to men, but it was just a sacred time. Can you talk about how that might be important? Can that help us connect a bit more to our feminine energy? And how would you recommend we go about that?
Yeah, we actually have an incredible circle here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, by my good friend Leah, where women gather constantly on the beach on the full moon. We'll gather and we'll have 50 to 60 women just gathered on the beach. Women have been, and this is, I feel like I'm quoting my friend. It's like women have been circling since the beginning of time. Women have come together to encircle, to cook, to take care of children, to talk about their problems, to ask for help. And that's where it is. We're all giving, and we're all giving, but in a receiving kind of way. I can't try to explain it like that, but there is so much strength in women, also a lot of women may have a sister wound, if that makes sense, if anyone knows what that is, where, maybe we've had some difficulties with women. And so coming back around again to have that safe space where we're all taking care of each other, where we can listen to one another, where we're open to one another, is such a feminine thing to do, again, because we've always done it. And modern times have separated us. Modern times have caused women to bash other women or talk about other women. And so it's so important to come back around again, to lift each other up, in all different ways, right? So circling is so important. If you can find that in your area, you may look for women's circle at a local, you can contact your metaphysical store, or search online for Facebook groups. There's virtual circles where you can be part of. That's getting back to that feminine energy. That's getting back to the moon. It's getting back to the natural intuition that we have. So that's so important to do if you have access to it and can have access, get access to it. It's just kind of getting you back into that receiving state. And so many of my clients, it's one of the themes that we deal with all the time, especially with type A women, the I'll do it myself type person, which I used to be that person. I used to be like, I don't need help from anybody. I'm going to do it myself. It would kill me to ask somebody for help. Kill me. And it took me a long time to be able to ask for help, even from my husband, my then, fiance back then, to even ask for, can I have help with this? And to receive it without trying to give back too. You're like, oh, let me, give back, where you just accept the help, accept the compliment. When somebody says, oh, you look beautiful today. Oh, I don't know, my hair is not right. Oh, this dress was, it's 20 years old. Just receive. And that's part of the feminine energy, is to receive something like that, to receive a compliment, to receive a hug, to receive help without trying to give or, try to make up for it. Oh, this is going, Jen, this is going places I didn't think it was going to go here.
Why I love you, Nancy. Why when I reached out to you, thought this is going to go in some weird and wonderful ways. But I think so many people can relate to that, myself included. I see it I do it all the time. I'll ask my husband to help me with something, and he'll either not do it quick enough or not do it the way I wanted. But like, I'll just do it myself. And and that is such a common example, I think, that we all do. We think, oh, well, it's just, especially these very driven type A women that we're brought up thinking, well, effort equals reward. And if we just do it, it'll be better. And so I think that's it. And now I try my very best, but my husband makes me a cup of coffee first thing in the morning. And I just say, thank you. And I sit down and drink it. And that's
Yeah.
big for me. I find that, a hard thing to do. So little things like that, just allowing people to be there. And you don't always have to reciprocate every moment because they know that if they need help, you'll be there for them. Oh, thank you for raising that.
Yes.
Speaking of partners, can we get our partners involved in it, whether they're male or female, in these rituals in any way?
So I think it depends on the person, right? My husband is a very black and white, logical spreadsheet person.
And he
He
married you?
so he was never really like, he's like, I don't believe in spirits and I don't believe in any of this stuff. But
Laughing so much, Nancy. Brilliant.
what's funny is that after 10 years, Mr. Man is believing, right? He has started to come around. But I remember in the beginning, I'm trying to think of one of the things is that, and what I've seen on this fertility journey with myself and with my clients is that their partners are incredible. I mean, we couldn't have better partners that are willing to jab us with a needle twice a day or hold our hand when we're going through another scan, or donate sperm and do all the things that they do, again, like women, male or female partners. So we have incredible understanding partners. And I think if we're just honest, like about what we're doing, or we're like, babe, listen, I'm gonna go do some crazy stuff right now. Don't mind me if I'm outside looking at the full moon. That's what I'm doing. I'll tell my husband, I'll be like, babe, I'm going out to talk to the moon. I'll be right back. And just like, so you're gonna have some partners that are like, okay, do your thing, or maybe they want to do it with you. One of the things that I did have my husband do, which was a ritual, type of a ritual for me, was to write a letter to our spirit baby, was to write a letter to our future child. And that is when we think ritual, we may make too much of that word where we're like, we're going to have to wear robes and light some candles. It doesn't need to be that way. Ritual is simple thing like journaling is a ritual. Lighting a candle and praying is a ritual. So don't think that you have to make this huge big thing out of it. But yeah, I had my husband write to our spirit baby. I said, write to her. Tell her how you feel. Tell her how excited you're going to be when you meet her. Tell her all the things. Tell her something about yourself. Tell her how much you're going to love her. And he was so happy to do that. I actually he emailed it to me and I saved that email. And so that was a ritual. That was something that we were able to share together. Now, is he out talking to the moon? No, he's not. That's my job. But yeah, so you can always do that, do things like that. Yeah, full moon ritual, make a list of all the things that you want to release. I'm sure a man would love to set a fire for you when you burn some papers.
Put him to
But
work.
things like that. Yeah, but things like that, so involve your partner as it works for them, as what resonates with them, if it does, like, again, writing a list of all the things you want to release and setting it on fire in the yard and is a great thing to do for anybody, or like I said, writing the spirit baby letter. It's really up to what your partner feels good about and what you feel good about. And again, you can't do anything wrong. If you make this, whatever you make up, you decide to take a piece of paper and write something on it and fold it into fours and put it in your wallet, and that's your thing, then that's what means something to you. That's your little ritual. And I think that that's like one of the most lovely things about this is that it can be so simple. And you don't have to wear a robe and light candles and chant.
But that's true, isn't it? It isn't about doing things right. And I really want people to hear that, especially my very type A friends that would relate to this. I have to do things right and I have to tell me how to do it and I'll do it perfectly. No, it's about doing things that feel good for you. And that
Yes. Can I say my New York thing? You can't F it up. I'm going to say the whole word. You can't F this up.
you
You're not
can't.
going to mess it up. You're not going to mess it up. Whether your crystal is in your hand, over here, over there, you talk to your spirit baby, or you write them a letter. There's nothing that you're going to do wrong, because it's all about your intention. Whatever you do, anything that you do, it all boils down to your intention. And that is the most powerful thing any human has, is their intention. Because
Mm,
with intention, then becomes reality.
thank you. Nancy, is there anything that you think that we should talk about in this space that we haven't already spoken about today?
Oh my goodness, we talked about so many things.
We could just do another hour if we really put our minds to it.
Seriously, I think we talked about so many things. I think there's a lot here to unpack. I think that it's taking small steps, baby steps, so to speak, in what we do. If you are new to this, then pick one thing that resonates with you. You know, if you're like, yeah, you know what, syncing up with the moon sounds like a really cool idea, or just like doing something like that, or buying a crystal that means something to me, or writing a letter to my spirit baby, picking that one thing to do and just kind of going with it. Because here's the other thing: we need to have fun. We need to have more play and more fun when we're on this journey, to keep us lighthearted. Because again, there are so many ups and downs that we go through, so many things, so many dark moments that we experience. And it takes effort to bring ourselves back to that happy space sometimes, to see the silver lining, to smile, when we see another person is pregnant or things like that. So we have to do a little bit extra for ourselves. So take one thing that feels good and go for it.
Mm. Best advice ever. Thank you, Nancy.
Awesome.
Thank you. Before we finish this up, how can people learn more about all of the amazing, weird, and wonderful things that you offer and bring to this space? And I know you have something pretty exciting coming up in June. So can you talk all about that?
Yes, sure. So I am on Instagram and my handle is Nancy Weiss Intuitive. And so there's lots of stuff there, lots of reels and posts all about connecting with your spirit baby. I have a podcast called Coffee with Spirit. That's my little New York accent. So that's on YouTube. You could find that on YouTube, Coffee with Spirit. And there's a lot of great, and I'm a quick person. So I have things that are like 5 to 7 minutes long, because that's all I talk for. I say what I have to say and I get it out there. But one of my most viewed or listened to podcasts is about terminations and miscarriage. And that has really been so helpful. I've gotten so many messages about how helpful it was. So that's a great podcast to listen to. Um, and yes, what's happening in June, June 1st, I am starting something called an experience called the Spirit Baby Playground. And this is going to be an incredible 30-day experience. It's not a course. It's not a program. This is going to be, an experience on Telegram, which is an app, kind of like a Voxer or a WhatsApp, where you can hear my voice notes. And this is all going to be about play. This is going to be like, how can you connect with your spirit baby? What can you do? How can you just receive? How can you have joy and gentleness and fun? So there's no Zoom meetings. You don't have to be there at 3 o'clock. You pop in whenever you want, listen whenever you want, do things whenever you want, just like you'd show up at a playground or somewhere. You're just going to go and you're just going to have fun, right? When you go to the beach, no one says at 1 o'clock, I'm going to go into the water, right? No, you just go, you just get up and splash around. And that's exactly why I created the Spirit Baby Playground, is because I wanted women who are going through this heavy experience to have some lightness and joy. Like, we need to have fun. And so doing that with our spirit baby, and in a way that is like light and free. I mean, I wish I had that when I was going through what I was going through. So yeah, that's starting June 1st.
I was just thinking the exact same thing. I wish I had had something like that when I was struggling as well, just to take some of the darkness away and bring some lightness and some more joy back into your journey. And you're right, it's so nice not to have to be structuring, oh, I have to be around at this time to make people struggle a lot with that, right? So what an awesome.
Like acupuncture, going for scans, like how many appointments do you need, So it's like pop in when you want, and let's have fun, let's play.
Amazing. Oh, Nancy, I'm going to link up all of those in the show notes. And if people have questions, I'm sure that you would love to hear from them if they want to reach out and connect with you.
I love DMs in Instagram. If you want to DM me, you could, and I love, I'm not really a writer, but I love sending voice notes. So I love responding to people, sending voice notes, just keeping it personal and real. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Nancy. You are one of my most favorite people that I have met on this journey. And you just this shining light. And every one of my students who has worked with you has come back and told me what an incredible resource you are. You put so much of yourself into your work, and there's just there's nothing about you that would ever be anything other than just support and love. So thank you.
Thank you so much. That means so much. I'm not a crier, but you're going to make me cry. Thank you so
much. We're laughing, we're crying. This has been the conversation.
I do. It's amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I did recording it. Nancy is just one of the world's best people, and I hope that you got so much out of that episode. And like Nancy mentioned, she has the Spirit Baby Playground coming up in June, where you can really start to connect to your own spirit baby in a way that feels fun and joyful, which, as we well know, is not something that we have a lot of when we're struggling to conceive. So I'm going to pop all of the links to how you can get involved with that, reach out and work with Nancy if you are interested. So follow the links down below. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, if you would like a copy of my New Moon Manifestation Ritual Guide, there is a link to that as well. So you can download that. You can start incorporating all of these beautiful practices into your own cycle. And I would absolutely love to hear what comes up from it. Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to have you back next week on a new episode. So until then, I am sending you all my love as you continue your own journey to fertility. The most common thing I hear from students who are on their fertility journey is that the stress of trying to conceive has taken over their life. Your days end up being filled with endless appointments, navigating pregnancy announcements. You're trying to eat right, take all your supplements, and it is all you think about from the moment you wake up. I designed the Element Fertility Yoga course to support your body, your mind, and your mental health in 3 important ways: to synchronize your hormones, increase circulation and blood flow, and to help regulate your nervous system. But on top of this, the greatest gift that you can give yourself throughout this journey is a sense of peace, to help you calm your mind and just make this process feel easier. Every single one of my students tell me that this is the first thing they notice after starting a yoga, meditation, and breathwork practice. But on top of this, you have the amazing benefit of actually supporting and increasing your fertility. Studies have shown that those participating in mind-body programs as they're trying to conceive have success rates 3 times greater than those who don't. The course I've designed walks you through natural conception as well as fertility treatments and IVF cycles. And the best part is you can work through it at your own pace in the comfort of your home. The practices start from just 10 minutes per day. To learn more, visit elementpilatesyoga.com or see the link in the show notes.